So we worked for quite a while. I basically helped orient them to the idea of repair, connected them with people like Peter, and resources in the field. And then they took repair into the classroom, and they developed a guide, a toolkit, they call it, which is called Cultivating a Repair Mindset. And so this is for use K through 12. And these were K through 12 teachers that were developing this product. And it's sort of a container, pedagogical container with classroom materials and with specific exercises. So it's really, and it's based on the maker-centered learning model. So it's really like a amendment to that, and super exciting to see. This was just published. Both of them were published this year. So that the other part of both is that I've been working with a school in Munich that about 2016, so however many years ago, 6 years ago, set up an unbelievably exciting student-run repair shop. So they took the idea, they started with, it's a Waldorf school, so they're already like thinking in systems. They're thinking in sort of integrated whole persons, community, the environment. They think holistically. And then they saw the Repair Cafe and said, whoa, this is really interesting. So they brought some aspects of Repair Cafe, they brought some aspects of Waldorf, and created a regular school class that that the students run. And so community members bring their products. It's just like a community repair event in this respect. Community people bring their product, but the students run everything. They receive the product, they diagnose it, they manage the inventory, they manage the communications with the customer, they do the team working, they do the research. It's a super exciting program. So they put together an extensive guide for establishing student-run repair shops, but it was in German, of course, because they're in Munich. And so I ran a number of pages through Google Translate and thought, wow, this is really great. And so I contacted them and said, we need this in the English-speaking world. So we've been working to, this is hot off the press, October, and this is an overall guide for how to set up their experience of how to set up a student-run repair shop. And it's just been super exciting. Both of these programs, they're not just like technical skills. I mean, obviously they're hands-on, but they're using this whole experience that I suspect that all of us on this screen have been to community repair events. This experience of getting in, opening the back, digging around, seeing what's going on, working with other people, researching on the web, all the things that is just exhilarating about community repair events. And they're using that to teach both a number of different subject matters, like obviously the environment, and obviously technical skills, also physics, other aspects of other courses, but also addressing cognitive development, addressing the personal development. There's teamwork, there's responsibility, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's just super exciting to see how repair has become the potential for being a gateway for learning a whole host of things, way beyond just fixing a thing, which is cool enough in itself, but as a modality for doing this incredibly rich educating. So that's what I've been up to in the last few years, and it's just really exciting. So they're both, so I have a website called The Culture of Repair, culturerepair.org. And and if any of you have access to teacher resources that you like and would like to suggest them, I'm trying to create a space where teachers can come and just take what they need. So both of these are available for download for free. We'll mail them to you at cost. And I really, I super encourage, sort of, I mean, I was ready to launch into the next thing, but Peter, I'll let you ask your next question or comment. Or anyone comment for that matter.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Catherine.
Okay, and Catherine's my wife, but that's all right. So effectively, your experience in California getting into the school system is a curriculum addition. How did you navigate the issues of changing, adding to curriculum with the hierarchy within the school system, school boards, et cetera, et cetera?
Right, totally challenging. This is one of the really difficult things for public schools. Private schools, not so tough. I mean, tough enough because it takes resources. It takes a lot. In the public schools, the way that Oakland has done this, well, there's two different things happening. And there's another program that Transition Berkeley has run in a Berkeley public school. And it's created in large part after school. But the Oakland project is, their whole approach is to bring maker activities into established classes and to use those maker activities as a way of like teaching Common Core. So they're not trying to, it's quite different from the repair workshop that would be in fact a very big challenge to get into a public school during the day. I just can't even think about it right now. However, the maker programs in schools, it's meaning the traditional maker programs, it's not just a congenial, repair enriches maker programs. And once the maker folks get that, it's like the doors open in that respect. But you're absolutely right. It can't be additive to the school day as an extra, because it's not part of the Common Core, or at least that's not what people understand it to be.
And so did you end up having to go all the way to the superintendent of the district, school boards to get approval to get this launched, or how did you do that?
Well, okay, so the Oakland side already had this legacy program I was talking about, and they already do professional development work with teachers. So they have weekend sessions, they have after school sessions, they have fellowships that last the whole year. So they're working at the professional development level, and then those teachers are going back into their classroom and deploying the maker skills and the repairs, or the, I guess by skills, tools into their regular classes. And so that's how it was done by way of professional development in Oakland. In Berkeley, it's a public high school, but this particular high school is I don't know what to call it, alternative high school, I guess. And so they had flexibility during the classroom, but it absolutely took all the political capital anybody has. It takes the number one thing is you got to have an enthusiastic teacher. It's not something that an advocate can come in and say, you should do this thing. I mean, it takes teacher ownership. And then it takes absolutely all of us are advocates, right? We're all interested in repair. It takes every ounce of enthusiasm, energy, political support to try to get everybody on board. It takes vision. And this is one of the things, it is a new idea. And so people, what we really need, and I think we're starting to get, are some models of how to do it successfully. you know, some powerful programs, some stories about them. And then the people that are sort of taking that into the community and saying, look at what's possible. And then if we can provide materials and we provide community volunteers, just like the community repair events, if we have people who are able to volunteer, go in the classroom, it takes all of this together to get it out the door. So I didn't answer your question about how to do it in Berkeley. It took it up to the principal level in this alternative high school. And
Carol's got her hand raised.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. Carol?
Hi, Carol Lanigan here. I live in a really small town in Eastern Washington. I did teach in the school district for 17 years. My recommendation would be to go to the shop teacher and bring these guides that have been developed and talk to the shop teacher, talk to the teacher that's actually going to do it first, and see if you can get them interested before you go to the higher levels, because the shop teacher can bring it through the system if they want to do it. They'll just bring it through the system. They'll get the materials approved. And you just have to find someone in the school district that wants to take this on. That's where I would start.
So Carol, that presumes that there actually still is a shop program in the school system.
Oh,
And
well, there is in my district.
there are 50,000 school districts across the United States, is my understanding. But yeah, I mean, Vita, do you have anything to say about that observation before?
About shop being disappeared in many school districts? Carol, I celebrate you're having a school district that still has a shop program. I think people are starting to wake up to what a loss to have lost our shop programs. And so those are the maker programs that I'm referring to. There's Fab Labs, and seems that maker programs are sort of coming up around the country. And so that would be a natural place to go as well.
So Vita, I'll just pop in here for a moment and take moderator's privilege and say, I've been doing something much more guerrilla. So what I've been doing is, like, we got invited into that Grimmer Elementary School in Fremont, California, because they had 3D printers in their classroom that were broken. And so the regular science or technology teacher invited us in. And normally to get into a school during the day, of course, we'd have to be fingerprinted and live scanned, all the stuff you'd have to do, right? But because we were coming in as repair people, I mean, they've got to have people come in for HVAC repair and all that other repair. We just breezed on in. And it's really been wonderful, you know. Just so I'm looking for the other thing I'm doing there is we have these programs that are hybrid programs between the school and the local library. So while the school itself may be off limits to people who are not officially with the school, we can host a program that's a combination program where the students are meeting a person in the community with a broken thing at the local library, and figuring out how to basically coordinate that. So the library becomes kind of this interface space that allows for that kind of thing to go on. So are other questions before I move on to another question for Vita? Okay, not seeing any. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to share. So I'm Emily Barker. I'm with Reuse Minnesota. So hello from the Midwest. And it's so funny because I'm like, oh man, maybe we just have a totally different system here. We have a grant with the local county, Hennepin County, which is where Minneapolis and the Western Metro is. And we have a program. It's not quite as involved, but a 6-week program that's happening in 2 high schools this spring. It's a reuse-based curriculum. And we'll have guest speakers. And so there's basically this idea of like what reuse is, why it's different from recycling, why that distinction matters, all of those things. And then we have 3 weeks of content, one about textiles, electronics, and building materials. And each week we'll have guest speakers who'll be talking with students. The idea is that it's to help students think about how they can incorporate reuse into their lives now, as well as potential careers. One class is with high school students who are in a class to prepare them for transition out of high school. Maybe they're not going to a 4-year school, but they might be looking for, a 2-year program or something like that. And so it's to help those students think about how, what they might do. And they do some repair and making in that classroom. They connect with, kind of the engineering type tracks. The other classroom is actually an Ecology of Minnesota class. It's a science-based class. And that class, we will be focusing more on what the environmental impacts are of reuse and what the bigger picture and how reuse helps reduce the resources that we need here in Minnesota, and how we can help take care of resources in that way by doing repair and reuse. But it's funny, it's so interesting to hear your experience, because I basically called or emailed a bunch of teachers that I had referred by somebody I knew at the county. A couple of them said, hey, we want to do it. I put in the grant, got the grant approval, and now we're just moving forward. And to my knowledge, it's never gone above the teachers. I'll be in the schools for 6 weeks in the spring, and it's just, I don't know. It's so interesting. I don't know if that's a difference with California, and these are just regular public high schools. But I'm sorry to hear that it's such a barrier, it sounds like in other places, but I think you're right about the enthusiastic teacher. Having someone who's excited about this is 100% what matters. But I'm looking forward to the opportunity to be with students, but it's also just interesting to hear how different that is in other places.
That's
so
super. Sorry, go ahead, Peter.
Students get credit for this? I mean, is it because it's outside of Common Core, what you're offering, isn't it?
The teachers we're incorporating it into their classroom curriculum for the semester. And
Great.
they must, I guess they must have enough flexibility within their curriculum that they're able to accommodate it for 6 weeks. It's 6 classes. So it's really, 7 classes, because I think the sewing week or the textile week will have a separate one class where they'll actually get an opportunity to do some sewing repair. We're making little kits out of Altoid tins. So every student will have basically a pocket repair kit when they go home. And I have 60 Altoid tins in my basement ready to be turned into little mini sewing kits. And then we're planning on a field trip. Each class, the county has funding for environmental field trips as well, separate from our grant funding. So total, it'll be 8 classrooms, 8 class periods over the entire semester. So maybe that's why, is it's not it doesn't meet a threshold, they're still able to get all their Common Core, but we're able to incorporate into their classrooms in a way that works. So
well, this illustrates precisely the point of how repair enriches the material that they're already supposed to be studying, right?
Right.
And there's nothing like hands-on. And what we found is that, especially when students bring their own things that are broken, that they have a personal stake in, it really, so much of this is about the confidence of putting your hands on and really looking at something very carefully and understanding all the parts and how they work, et cetera, et cetera. And when it's something they have a vested interest in, it really changes the nature of the engagement.
Yeah, especially on the sewing week where we'll have them do a hands-on thing. The idea is that we'll ask students to bring in something they have. Obviously, it can't be something huge, but a shirt that's missing a button, a hem that has started to come undone, a small hole that could be, visible mended, or using something basic. We may or may not. I have a very small, lightweight sewing machine, not one of those 60-pound ones from Meta, which I do also have, but I have a lightweight Kenmore. I think we'll probably try to bring in if there was a basic thing that students could repair. But the idea is to teach them some basic skills that they could have at home, even if they don't have a sewing machine. But that would be the idea. We'll also have some other things. One of the high schools, super exciting, actually has been doing clothing swaps, but it's gotten so popular that they're turning it into a thrift shop at the school, a free shop.
Exactly.
At the school.
Awesome.
And it's the teacher I'm working with connected me with this other staff teacher. I'm not 100% sure if she's a teacher's other staff, and she's like, yeah, so we'll incorporate that into part of that class specifically. So yeah. It'll be fun to incorporate. So I'm hoping that maybe if they have some things that the thrift store has been given that are damaged, and if students don't have their own, that we can use some of those items too. But Liz, I see your message. I can definitely share our grant proposal with Hennepin County. I'm not sure if it's up online, but I can email it to you. I'll just drop my email on the whole thing. I'm still finalizing our class schedule for each one and kind of all the pieces, but I can share the proposal so you can see how that worked. We are very lucky. Hennepin County is super supportive. It's their Green Partners program, and they have community education, and then they have youth education and all sorts of environmental things, not just waste and waste reduction stuff, but that's what
And
our grants
I
do.
think you have quite a few Fix-It clinics. Am I right in remembering that?
Yeah, most of the metro counties have them, and it's actually really great because none of them care anymore if you're a resident of the county. So in the Twin Cities, you can find every Saturday of the month a Fix-It clinic.
Okay, can I just
Great.
really super celebrate? Okay,
Yeah.
Peter, let's just recognize your role in that.
Yeah.
Huge. But let me just say, community repair events is like everyone walks in and knows this is right and good, right? And there's so many people, this is the first time in, they say, wow, we ought to be doing this. There's so much political capital. There's so much, people don't realize that repair is a thing, you know, that it's a movement, and that there's steps you can take. There's groups you can join. There's activities that you can, and so that I am interested at the ease with which you went into the schools, because the Fix-It clinics have been, Peter, how long have Fix-It clinics been in Hennepin County?
You can call me off guard, but I and Richard Jess flew out to Minnesota on our own dime for Fix-It clinic #1.
With Nancy.
With
They
Nancy
just
Wells.
celebrated their 10-year. In fact, they had news coverage because just a couple months ago, it was funny because my son and I happened to go to the one that WCCO, which is a local news station, was at. And my son and I each got like our little 3 seconds of fame because we were on TV as part of the story for 10-year celebration. And so
sorry, Emily, I'm going to jump in here because we have two questions that have been on deck for a little while. So Hayes and then Pamela.
Oh yeah, I'm Hayes from the Tacoma Tool Library in Tacoma, Washington, which is around 60 kilometers south of Seattle, in Pierce County, which is not anywhere near as rich as King County. We just actually just got this entrance into the school for people who want to know. The school had some kind of back to school thing, you know, for the thing, and they wanted to have a Fix-It fair there. So we trekked out to Keithley Middle School and did a Fix-It fair event. We were there for a couple hours, and most of the teachers who actually attended were very involved. And now we are probably going to be scheduled to go back out there in March when they do their other thing. And so you know, if you can do your Fix-It thing, this is one of the things that we found out. If you take your Fix-It thing on the road to other people's events, even if you don't get very many people there to bring things to fix stuff, a lot of people hear about you, and then they may be, you know, so that's one way that we've actually ended up in schools in trying to get connected with other people. Another one is we were doing these little free libraries, and we were having trouble doing it, and so we contacted the shop class at one of the local high schools, and they actually finished them. And that was actually something that was very engaging also, is that I think all the students in the shop class really liked being able to do something that they were going to be able to see on the side of the street years, you know, in the past. And that was another way that we as the tool library connected with the high school. That was just something that, and it was just something that came up. It wasn't something that we had planned or anything like that. Somebody said, oh, you should contact this person to finish this job, and we did it. So if you're looking for a way to get into the schools, you know, volunteering your Fix-It fair for their events might be a good way to do it, to just open the door and get your toe in. You know, they actually wanted us to try to fix their popcorn machine, but I mean, they wanted us to figure out how to put their 2,900 watt popcorn machine into a 1,500 watt wall socket, but we decided not to do it. So.
And Pamela?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to pop let Vita and Peter know we only have about like 1 minute until we got to pop back to the main room.
Well, I just have a couple questions. First, I would like to try to get in touch with Emily, the one that was just talking about in Minnesota. I'm not too good with the computer, so I haven't been able to put anything in the chat. So I'm gonna learn that. And then Peter, you were talking about the sewing machines. I'm in Washington, and I am at a center called Africatown Center for Education and Innovation. And we're called the Giving Room Project, and we do a whole lot of stuff that you guys are talking about, but everything we do, we give it away. We have a sewing machine there. It's a very old one. I want to figure out how we can get that fixed, or if it's fixable or what. And then the last question is for Vita. I was trying to figure out when I don't know about the repairs that used to be in schools. I didn't know that exists. I am 60 years old, and I graduated from Garfield High School, one of the major ones in Seattle, and I don't remember a repair class at Garfield.
There were 3 questions there. What's the order of?
I can find out the other things from each person. I just wanted to put those out there, mainly you, because maybe you could tell me what type of repair classes are you talking about in classes?
So
I just don't remember them.
What we're trying to do now is to introduce repair into the schools newly, and to help people understand the value to existing programs, including shop programs, as well as physics and ecology and the various things that Emily was talking about, how bringing repair in enriches those existent programs. And the specific programs that I was talking about are ones that have been newly established. Particularly, I was mentioning the one in Munich in 2016 that is so comprehensive and exciting. But again, that's a new program.
I got it. Okay, got it.
Great. Thank you so much for your question.
No problem. Thank you.
We're